Welcome back to the Ronny Trost Early Morning Bodybuilding Podcast. We got lawnmowers, airplanes all over. You know, the devil doesn't want you to learn about bodybuilding. He wants you to die an early death. So today I'm just going to talk sets versus reps. I got very little time, a lot of things to do this morning. My eggs are cooking on the breakfast, on the grill. So how do I decide? You know, basically we don't have much time. So it's going to be a one set. Like even if I do 2 or 3 sets, it's going to be one set. And you know, there's bodybuilders that say one set's all you need. Then there's others that do, you know, it's hypertrophy versus strength. Okay? So strength is fewer reps. Hear that lawnmower? I don't even know if you can hear me. The devil, like this, won't give up. Strength is a lower number of reps. Hypertrophy, meaning your muscles get bigger, is more reps, more sets. Strength is less reps, less sets. But strength is mostly just your nerves that are attached to the muscle. So you can't really see it. You get stronger, but you can't see it. And hypertrophy is more the muscles get bigger, but it's not so much strength, it's just bigger muscles. But see, you kind of need them both. And, you know, they have discussion, like there's debates about, you know, hypertrophy versus strength, sets versus reps, how many. You know, Mike Mentzer's the one set. Then there's Serge Nubret, who was huge, guy from France that ate like 8 pounds of horse meat a day. Of course, you don't do that in America because our horses have too many antibiotics in them. In France, they specifically raise horses to eat. So it's easy to go in the store and get horse meat. And obviously, horses have huge muscles. And but he could spend hours, he could spend all day in the gym. Hours and hours doing 20 sets, 20 reps. Of course, he was on the juice, right? So, you know, he's on the steroids. And then you got Mike Mentzer, who also on the steroids, who says, you know, high intensity, one set. Well, a warm-up set, then a one set, maximum. High intensity. So then you got, you know, this debate. But then you go Ronny Trost. Well, what does Ronny Trost think about it? Okay. I have limited time before work. Obviously, it's going to be a one set. I don't really care that much about strength as I do hypertrophy because it's more, for me, it's more about the look than it is, you know, how much you can lift, right? But you need them both because lifting heavy gives you more hypertrophy. So you have to mix it in, hypertrophy and strength together. Like they have to, so like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding is you do hypertrophy for a while, then you do strength, then you do hypertrophy, then you do strength, then you do hypertrophy, strength, hypertrophy, strength, you know. It thickens the muscle, the strength part thickens the muscle, so it's not all like watery looking hypertrophy. You know, you want to see the striations. So then you say, okay, Ronny Trost, how does that relate to your workout? Okay. I want to do everything at one time in a short period of time. I want strength, hypertrophy, power. You know, that's another. Understanding power is speed versus, velocity. It's in my purse. I forgot the words, but so power, strength, speed, power and strength and speed. See, like you can do it slow, but that's not power. That's why they do. There's the lawnmower. Just, they do box jumps, plyometrics, because that speed of landing gives you more power than just lifting weights. So there's plyometrics. Okay, back again. What does Ronny Trost think about all this? Okay, I got one set. I want strength and hypertrophy. Okay? So I want a maximum amount of weight, but I also want a fairly high rep in that one set. And for me, I don't even have time to do the warm-up, or I don't want to do the warm-up because it's hot as hell down here in Florida. So I don't need to warm up. Like you're in a cold environment, your muscles are cold, it can rip. It's like a piece of taffy. You can break it when it's cold. When it's heated up, it's soft. Okay? You can stretch it. So your muscles, when they're hot, they can stretch. So it's not going to break. When they're cold, they break. So if you're in a cold environment and you just try to lift heavy weight real fast, you can strain your muscle and rip it. But I'm always hot. It's hot right now. I'm sweating just sitting here. So I don't really do a warm-up. But if you're, cold environment, don't watch this video and think you don't have to do a warm-up. That's why people do calisthenics before, jiu-jitsu and things like that. You got to warm it up. You got to get everything flexible like the taffy. You got to get it stretching and flexing and warm. And then we lift. So basically my one set is kind of a two set. Because like somewhere in the middle, I kind of take a little 10-second rest. Catch my breath, let a little bit of the glycogen back into the muscles, and then I finish. I just kind of did it naturally, like I wasn't thinking about it. But it's like, okay, if I'm going to do 10, do 5, wait a couple seconds, then do 5 more without dropping the weight. So it's kind of like a 2-set, hypertrophy meaning more. So I like to at least try to get to 12, okay? 12 is my magic number. So if I do more, that's okay because more means more hypertrophy. If I do less, that's okay because it means more strength. So if I could only do 8, okay, then that was a strength day. If I could do 15, okay, that was a hypertrophy day. So what happens is, once I get to 13, 14, 15, I may add 5 pounds. That'll drop it back down to 8, right? 8 is strength. Then the 8 goes to 9, to 10, to 11, to 12. That's good, right? I stay at 12 till I can get 13, 14. Okay, I'm in the hypertrophy. Let's bring it back to strength. Let's add another 5 pounds or whatever. You can add 2 pounds, whatever you want to add. The point is that you're always trying to get more weight around the number 12. A little bit before, a little bit after, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay? Maybe take a rest in the middle. So everything is done in one set. Okay? So that's my thought process. Now, I'm not saying I'm Mr. Huge, but, what happens is sometimes, I drove a taxi for 30 years, which means sitting in a car, but I study books. So there's a lot of stuff up in here. How to fly airplanes, how to scuba dive, how to sail boats, quantum physics, history. It's all up in here because I read books. Okay, religion, different religion, all of that stuff is all up in here. So it's not all about muscle, it's also about brains. Okay, you study the human body, you study nutrition, you study diets, you study, there's the planes, see? Planes, lawnmowers, everything. Okay? So the human body is a complete system, mind, it's not all muscle, it's mind, body, internal organs, right? digestive system, food, everything is all part of anti-aging. You have to do it all. You have to have everything working right. Okay? Which is what people get it wrong. Because it's called body dysmorphia, where you're never big enough. And that's what bodybuilders are. I mean, you know, Mr. Universe, you can never get big enough. It's body dysmorphia. I'm not big enough. I'm the biggest human in the world, but I'm not big enough. Okay, that's body dysmorphia. I mean, you're mentally, you know, it's like anorexia, or, you know, you're mentally like you're skinny as person, but you look in the mirror and you go, I'm fat. But you're not. You're just like skin and bones. Okay? So that's a different kind of mental health issue, is your muscles are never big enough, so then you wind up taking steroids. And that steroids mess up your internal organs. The thing, you got to be comfortable with yourself. Yeah, I'm not huge, but I'm not on steroids. So, you know, you want to see AI, right? You click and you go, oh, look at this huge guy. I'm going to click on that. That's clickbait, but he's huge. So let me see what he's doing. No, he's on steroids, okay? But you're not looking at his internal organs, and you're not looking at his mind. Does he know how to do anything other than lift weights? I mean, if you're stranded on a deserted island with a sailboat, does he know how to get home? No. He knows how to push some tree trunks around, I guess. But the point is, you have to be comfortable being a complete unit, right? Spirit, soul, body, and then content. I'm content until such time as I get bigger. That's fine. Okay? So, where was I? I don't even remember. I went down a path and I got lost. Now at the planes and the lawnmowers. Maybe the planes and lawnmowers like help me like get motivated or something. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Then you wind up not having time to work out. You get busy with work, you go on vacation, you know, you got to study a whole bunch of stuff, you got to do a whole bunch of computer work, and you don't work out for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. Well, you might have to lower the weight, see, because your muscles atrophy. They get smaller and weaker. And you have to admit that to yourself. Okay, you know, I was doing 60 curls, then I had to go to 45s and start over because I didn't do it for a year. So then I went 45 to 50s, 50 to 55. See? And then one day back up to 60. Okay? Same with the bench. Was doing 250, probably can't do 150 because I hadn't done it in years. So you have to accept that. You have to work with the weight that works with the number of sets and the number of reps that you want to do. It's good to write it down so you make sure that you try to do a little bit more, but then you fast, right? Fasting sometimes eats up a little bit of the muscle strength, or even you don't have the glycogen and the carbs in your muscles to push the weight. So that's why basically I just do as many as I can. And that's just the number I can do. But I might have fasted for 2 days, or I might have fasted for 1 day, or I might have ate a whole bunch of food and can do more or less or whatever. I don't concern myself so much with that. I mean, I try to remember last time I did 8, now I'm trying to do 9. Okay? But if I can only do the 8, that's fine too. Sometimes just maintaining for a while, that plateau, before you go up a little bit more. Sometimes it's all about, you know, the technique, that you do it correctly. You know, you try to get back to some old weights that you could do before, and you wind up jerking too much. You're not really, you're doing more harm than good because you're not doing the technique right. So you got to lower the weight. So the thing of it is that you got to be in tune with your body so that you're doing things correctly and improving and understanding that you went on vacation for 2 or 3 weeks and there wasn't no gym or whatever, eat right, you know. You had to eat out at restaurants all the time and things like that. So I'm going to do a set, however many I can do. You don't need to see it because you can watch my previous video. All I ask is subscribe, send it to your friends. When I get enough subscribers, maybe YouTube will pay me. Right now, I'm working for free. Have a good day. Catch you later.